Good morning, I'm Norbert Calabro. The other morning as I was driving in the car, I was listening to a talkback show, and the subject of disputes between shareholders was being discussed, and it just reminded me that I've seen so many shareholders agreements that really have not worked, because all companies are different, they're different industries, different sizes, different personalities, quite often different aims between the shareholders. So I thought I would send you this postcard just to give you a few lines of what I believe that a shareholders agreement should really encompass. There certainly should be very specific in the way that people see themselves resolving any disputes they may have when they decide to part company. And it's always very easy to everybody be in agreement without even thinking as to what can happen in the future. And this is where I normally sit down with people and just say, now look at in say 3 years time, 5 years time, if there is a dispute between yourself and your other shareholders, how would you like that resolved? Because in my view, as I said earlier, shareholders agreement should be quite specific in both the weight of value, rather than have just a standard valuation clause which says that I appoint an accountant who shall value the shares at fair market value. Now, the accountant should probably be named so that everybody is happy that the accountant has the capability of doing a proper valuation. Fair market value should be fairly clearly defined so that again everybody knows what the meaning of fair market value is. I even encourage people to go a bit further and to make reference to a number of years that should probably be considered in the valuation. Try and find some benchmark that the capitalisation rate can be used. For instance, if there are any companies within that industry that are listed on the stock exchange, try to make some benchmark comparison so that when or if anything happens, in the end the value has got a benchmark that he can apply to establish a proper value. The selection of the actual methodology, because fair market value is not a methodology, it's an objective of the valuation, so that the shareholder agreement should actually specify whether the value of the shares should be on an asset backing basis or on a capitalisation of earnings or a capitalisation of dividends or whatever. If possible, to even go further than that and specify how the maintainable earnings should be assessed. In other words, should adjustments be made only for non-recurring items, or should they be made for any other matters, such as in some companies the shareholders might pay themselves over market value for salaries and so on. So the shareholders agreement should specify if adjustment should be brought back to what would be a commercial arrangement for by way of remuneration. The other thing that I recommend to people, and which was very pertinent to what these people were discussing in the Talkback show is that the shareholders' agreement should not be an item that's set in cement. In other words, it should be re-looked at and have your professionals re-look at it probably every 3 years at the most, because companies do change, industries do change, and where this occurs, the formula which might have been set back a couple of years earlier may no longer be applicable. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I bid you good morning.